Okay. Um, so a lot of people that complain their car consumes fuel. Even when you don't observe high fuel consumption, you still need to be sure that your fuel consumption is not higher than it should. Could be normal to you, but it's possible that you have been consuming more fuel. So what I would suggest you do, one of the basic things you're supposed to do, which scanner will not tell you, which your mechanic might not even be able to, not that you might not be able to detect, but might not even know, or it may not cross his mind. So it's something every car user should be able to do. This test is very simple and basic, and that is check if any wheel is binding your brake. If your brake is binding, what I mean brake binding, I means when on each of the wheels, 4 wheels, if the brake pad, the brake lining also is holding the disc while you are in motion without you pressing the brake pad, that is applying brake on its own, the first thing you need to do is to, you might not know, because when you are in motion the gear is pulling the car. So though if you're observant you will tell. How will you know? You can tell how the car move, especially once you get to up to gear 4, 5 to 6. You could tell that the car takes more acceleration to be able to gain more speed compared to how it was before. Anyway, it can't depend, because it's possible that when you bought the car the issue has been there, and so you may not even tell the difference. So, but those of us, even if it's a car I've not driven before and I drive for the first time, I can tell when there is something like a brake binding issue, which can be caused by other symptoms, other issues. I mean the symptom, but one of the things you do first is to check if it's being caused by brake binding. So there are many ways of checking if your brake is binding. Especially if it's a minor brake binding. If it's a major brake binding, what will happen is when you drive for like 30 minutes, it will get to a point, the car will become very, very hard to move. When you stop, you will even see smoke coming out from your rim, the rim of your tire. You will be smelling that bad, as if you're, maybe for manual cars, as if the clutch plate has burnt. So that's how bad the severe one could be. Now there are minor ones that will even do all those smoke. You won't feel it, you won't smoke, you won't feel, but there's a way you can test. However, it's binding, but one of the symptoms is high fuel consumption. It increases your fuel consumption. No, the cause is not symptoms now. One of the causes is it increases your fuel consumption. Then the second cause, well, I'm missing it up. The symptoms, yes, and the consequences. Okay, better. So one of the symptoms and the consequences of brake binding is high fuel consumption. It will increase your fuel consumption. Now the second consequence. Now this one is the consequence. The consequence of brake binding is your tires. It will be weakening that tire, because each wheel that is doing that will be getting hotter than it should. So any rubber on that wheel will tell over time. It will weaken that tire to damage you, especially those severe ones. You get the point. Some you see, there was one case, the tire even exploded. It was too damn hot that you just had to blow the tire. Then some, if it don't, what will now happen is it will just, you could see the tire, it will look as if it melted the tire a little, and of other consequences, like your brake pads will be wearing off, especially that particular wheel. You will be eating it up much faster every now and then. You see that the entire brake pad on that particular rim or your lining has finished, that's eating it up. This another consequence of that issue is the brake disc too. So as it's doing that too, it will be eating up your brake disc. So it's not good at all. It's not good. So even if you don't mind the higher fuel consumption, but it just be affecting other things on your car. So now how do you diagnose to know? You can do it yourself. You don't need a mechanic. If you want, get a mechanic. But one of the basic one every person that drives a vehicle or owns a car can do. Doesn't matter how big or small you are, or how rich or poor you are, you can do it yourself. This test is easier to be done when the weather is hot, or even if weather is cold. Like if you start the car first time in the morning, cold weather, you need to drive the car for, could say, more than up to 50 kilometers or more, or thereabout. In other words, the braking system needs to get very hot. Normally, not just because of the brake pan. As in, your car needs to warm up. Every part of your car needs to be hot, especially the rims at that time, to be able to tell truly if your brake is binding. Because most times when the brakes are cold, braking systems are cold, the bars, the disc, the caliper, that issue tends not to happen, or as bad as it will do when the weather is very hot, or when those braking components are hot already. So when they are cold, they tend to relax a little until it becomes hot. Then if there's a problem with anything that will do the brake binding, then it will show itself. So if you can leave it till afternoon time, especially when sun is very hot, it will take you a few kilometers to show itself if truly you're having that issue. So you just drive the car, highway, long city drive, doesn't matter. In fact, city drive is even okay, don't even need to be highway, but anyway, whichever one. Like I said, you need to drive it a little bit much longer, keep it running, driving for, I don't want to say how many minutes, it just depends on distance. Get the tire to get hot. Then you come down, switch off your car, or leave it on if you want to. And then I want to show you how you can test it. Look at the rim. So what you do is you come like this and touch it like this. Feel the rim, not the tire. No, this is feel the rim. Yeah, well done. So if it's alloy rim, just touch it like this. The one that it will be difficult for you if it's a steel wheel. Now the problem with steel wheels is not necessarily the rim, but when you put all those plastic wheel covers, that one you can't be able to do the test on the plastic cover. So your hand will now have to touch the steel wheel, which can now be very dangerous if actually that tire is binding. Because you now have to chook your hand inside, probably using one finger to pass through the plastic cover, and that one usually burn. If the rim, this wheel is very hot at that time, it will burn your hand more than just doing like this. This one won't really press it that hard, but the other one, your hand gets in, because you'll be struggling to pass it through. So immediately you touch it, as it's getting there, it's burning your finger more than doing like this. But anyway, if possible, remove the wheel cover and just do like this, or put your hand, even if you bounce it, at least you're sure you've moved it out or found the culprit. Just do it like this. So once that happens, what will happen is you do it on the 4 tires. Do it on the 4 rims. By the time you get to the 4th one, you could tell if there's any of them that feels hotter than the rest. That's how you can tell if any rim is hot, or if you're having a brake binding issue. Normally, when you drive for even 100 kilometers, or even more than 100 kilometers, and you do that test, by touching the rim, it still will not burn your hand. As long as your braking system, the rim is not binding. So if you're not having any brake binding issue there, it will not blow. You just feel warm, you just feel warm. The only time it will feel hot is like the front ones, but still, yeah, it might feel hot. It won't burn you. As in, it won't be so hot that you put your hand, it will throw you off immediately. No, So do it all the time. But if any of the rims now feel much hotter, even if it's not that hot, extremely hot, but it feels hotter than the rest, out of the 4 rims, one feels more hot than the others, then you found your culprit. That's the time. But if all of them feel just warm the same way with every other, the remaining 3, then you don't have that issue. You don't have brake binding issue. However, just expect that the front rim, because for the front brakes, they work harder than the rear one. So yeah, after like 100-kilometer drive, 50-kilometer drive, okay, well, let's just say depending on how hot the weather is, yeah, it should feel a little bit warm, or at least the both front rims should feel warmer than the rear rims. Yeah, but not like extremely hot like that. I mean, I could drive from here to Lokoja, stop, and I can still touch the rim. It won't burn my hand. Yeah, it will feel hot, considering that it has driven on long distance highway, hot road. Yeah, but I can still do it. Yeah, as long as it's not binding. So the reason why I'm telling you, it's easier for you to do that. You don't need to wait till you get to a mechanic workshop to do the test. That's one of the ways you can do it. But if you feel concerned that it might burn your hand, you don't want to, then you could take it to a workshop. So what the mechanic will now do in this case, which is now another way of testing it, is you have to jack each of the wheels one after the other, or you jack all of them. You jack the entire vehicle up, take the 4 wheels up at the center, or you take one after the other. Put the wheels on the gear on neutral. Release the handbrake. So you just have to find a way to stop the car from rolling back or rolling forward. Maybe you do it from one tire to another. In that case, you find a winch to hold one tire, jack the car. Of course, if you are doing the front wheels, you can leave it on handbrake, but you still need to put the winch. And then release it, put it on neutral if it's front wheel drive. If it's rear wheel drive, it doesn't matter whether it's on neutral or not. So, but just leave it on neutral, irrespective of since you are testing the entire time. So leave the gear on neutral, jack the car, then turn the rims, all of them, the tires, turn each of them. You see one, if there is a bind, you see one will not spin freely. When you turn the tire, it may not even turn. In fact, you may even try to turn it. It will be very hard to turn, even though the car was moving as if there was no issue there. But when you try to turn it, it will be very hard to spin. Or you turn it, you're supposed to spin it and you turn and turn and turn and gradually reduce. But when you do it, you see that once you remove your hand, the tire will stop. That tire is having brake binding issue or something similar. For automatic gearbox, they can actually cause it. The gearbox itself, not necessarily they can even say that when the gearbox is faulty, it could just hold it there, and you might think it's brake. But one thing with the automatic gearbox, when it does that, it will be the 2 front tires or rims or wheels that is going to hold, not only one. So in that case, it's not necessarily the brake, but the automatic gearbox. Yeah, I've seen one that did it when the gearbox was bad, or gearbox was about to fail. You just locked the entire front rims. Yeah, it was a 407. It was horrible. Okay, so that is it for spinning. Now, one thing you could do is another thing this test will help you to know is when you test all the tires, you are touching and feeling all the rims or the wheels. If three feels warm, but one feels very, very, very cold, as in it feels very cold compared to the other three. That when they when they feel warm, it means at least they worked. The tire have living on the road. Not supposed to be cold anymore. So the one that feels very cold means that one, the brake is not working at all on that wheel. For whatever reason, either it was intentionally blocked not to work, or something is wrong with the caliper, not necessarily the brake pad. The brake pad cannot stop it, no matter how bad, or even when the brake pads wheels are competing, that metal there will still be there doing the work. So it's just dangerous. You damage your disc and that, and the brake effectiveness will be gone. But it won't stop. Brake pad will never stop the car from the brake not working at all. So in that case, you are looking at caliper, ABS block or pump issue. So that's one of the ways. These are two basic ways you can test to know if you're. There's another way I do it, but I'm holding camera. Sometimes you just come to put the car on neutral, release the handbrake, then you come to the wheel, each of the wheel, around the fender, and you put pressure, push the car. As you're pushing the car, just push it forth and back. You look at the brake disc and the caliper. You look between the brake disc and the caliper, or the tire itself. You could see the one that moves freely. Remember, you push it forward, backward. You can see one that actually moves freely without anything trying to hold the tire. The ones that have that problem, it won't move very freely. Just make small attempt. It may not even make attempt, but the other three that you are not even, like, you come to this side as you are doing it. If this tire is the problem, when you look at the other ones you are doing it, you will see those ones will be rotating small, up, backward, forward, but this one will like stay at one place, even though it's moving, or even if you move, just be a little. So that's one of the ways of testing. But that one, no, not everybody will want to do that, or may be able to tell the difference between the ones, the way they move up and down, to know if it's good or not, if the brake is the problem. That particular wheel brake is the problem. Now, okay, what could be the cause when you find that there's a braking issue or brake binding issue on each particular wheel? It could be a lot of things. It could be your brake pad has worn, and then it now affected or made the caliper pinion to come out so bad, to the point that it's finding it hard now to go in back. It's supposed to release a little when you release your brake pedal. So in that case, yeah, brake pad can cause it. Then the caliper too can do that. The pinions, maybe sand, dust have entered there, and it's kind of making it's no longer moving freely. So in that case, you could remove it, wash it, put it back. For those, some people just prefer to change. It's much easier than trying to open it up to do the servicing. There could also be your brake flexible hose. They do fail. What I mean fail, they just block. So sometimes they will block partially. So when you press your brake pedal, hydraulic will pass a little, but because it's no longer flowing, it's partially blocked. The hydraulic will not return. It won't flow back. So the one that pushed through will now hold the brake pass to the disc without releasing it. So in that case, it will cause it. What else could do that? Your ABS block can do that, depending on model. For example, 407, they are very notorious for that. Their ABS block or ABS pump can suddenly start applying brake by himself. It just looks as if You apply, you are just driving, all of a sudden, your brake, you just do as if you press the brake pedal to the floor. Yeah, 407 down. Even when you are not driving, you are stationary, you want to move, it will refuse to move. I remember there was one 407 V6, red color 407 V6. The man just couldn't understand what was going on. The car couldn't move. He forced, and he was close to where I was. And we spoke on the phone. He was close to where I was at that time. It was at night too. So I told him, okay, since you are close to where I am, just drive the car. Let me see what's going on. As it was going, the car was screeching, making all kinds of sound when I saw the car coming. Before I even got to where I was, I could see the one particular rim, I can't remember, red, as if you were burning furnace, as the red was just coming out from the rim, the disc, the pad, every caliper from that particular rim. I think it was the front or one of the rears. We just hold that as the brake hold, the couldn't move because, of course, being a VC, was just pulling it no matter what. I was moving, so that friction, all those things started to make it as getting hotter and hotter until it became so that at night, when we are looking at it as if, blacksmith, you know how blacksmith this thing could be when they are trying to melt metal. I mean, that was how it was. Of course, initially he suspected maybe Carib and said no, this is 407. I know it could not, it mustn't always be when it comes to 407. Put my scanner, luckily I was my PP2000 there, put it there, boom, ABS block. The guy has to sleep there. There was nothing we could do, he had to sleep there because by the time I finished doing the diagnosis, we said, okay, maybe we could just make an attempt to park it somewhere else that is safer. He could not move anymore again. So luckily where I parked, it wasn't where the car parked, because I parked beside it, so it wasn't that, it was safe enough, so we just left it there. The next day, called somebody, in fact, he actually bought somebody that did it, the replacement, bought one mechanic, came, changed it. He wanted me to come and confirm. I said, no, as long as, even if the other ABS they bought, the used one is bad, it might not, at least it won't happen immediately. Put it there and the wheel release itself. So yeah, it could do that. ABS block in 407 can do that. ABS block in 607 phase 1 can do that too. I only tell people, if you are buying Z8, expect that you might experience that thing. They are also notorious. No, but not all of them. Any 607 that has ESP, you have to be careful. It's not every user will experience it. I think, I don't know, could you say the abused ones or something? I don't know. They can, all of a sudden, you're driving, boom, you just apply brake on its own. Yeah. Then 406 as well with ESP. 406 that has ESP can do that. Yeah, ABS block too. Well done. The ABS block too, notorious for that. It's only like Z9 and subsequent one. They all have their issues. The reason why I pointed out for you to know that it's not just only your brake caliper, your Facebook hose, your brake pad can do that. No, your ABS block can do that. But in some cars, some Peugeot vehicles, no, their ABS block don't have that kind of issue. So if it happens, don't even bother going to the ABS block. Just focus on that rim. Something might be there. The brake master cylinder, no, I don't think it could do that kind of thing. I don't think so. Okay, so I hope that helps. So at least now you know something like this can happen to your car. So if you think your fuel consumption is to be high, do this test first to confirm that you are not having brake binding issue. Even if you are checked and it's not, you are not having binding issue, it could not be something else. So don't take this for granted, because you can do that. Then you also know how you can, or what could be the causes, and consequences if you keep using the car in that condition. Okay, so it's almost 4 minutes. So I think that helps. Do that once in a while. maybe once a year. Just do it if you have your car. Better done when the weather is hot, or drive it out in the morning after like 50 kilometers or so. Do the test. But it's better done when the weather is hot. It's fast. The test will be done within few minutes. Once you drive few minutes, if any of your wheel is bad, immediately the brake will start binding immediately. But if the weather is cold, it's going to take a while before it starts happening. Especially if the problem is from the wheel. I'm talking about if the problem, for example, if the problem is from the first boot hose or the brake caliper, yeah, it will need to get hot before it can manifest or show itself. But if on the ABS block, it doesn't matter how hot or cold the weather is. It could happen even before you move. You move from that from where the car is parked. You probably may not even allow the car to move. Okay, so I hope that helps.